You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I mean, that was just disgusting. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm mad, upset. This might be an ugly show. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Rietma, at Jake_Rietma on Twitter. And I try not to get super upset, but this was a scream at the television kind of loss. This was as bad as it gets so far. I'm getting the similar feeling that we had after that shutout loss at home to the Marlins. Just inexcusable in a lot of ways. We're going to talk about the horrible defense, the costly errors, the offense, again, just completely absent and probably just duds. There's no studs in this game. It's just a brutal loss for the Tigers, 5-4 in extra innings to the Washington Nationals. And we'll break it down, and it can be event sesh as well. We're here for that as well. We thank you for making Locked On Tigers postcast your destination immediately following the conclusion of the Tigers games. And if it's like tonight, it's painful. But today's show made possible by Prize Picks. That's right. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And as always, thanks for making Locked On Tigers postcast your first listen following the conclusion of the game every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Got to get to the comments right away because this really is a scream at the TV. Why do I root for this organization? Why do I put myself through this night in and night out? Because it just shouldn't end this way. Physical mistakes, mental mistakes, a lack of any type of wherewithal to try to win a baseball game is what we saw tonight. And maybe I'm exaggerating and it's recency bias in the moment, but my goodness, that it's just a sorry baseball team is what we watched tonight. And it's not like the Nationals played great. They made some terrible errors too. Probably obviously the Riley Greene one comes to mind, which we'll get into, the error on Riley Greene's 3-run triple that turned into a little league home run. But it was just anybody that watched that game from start to finish, you feel like you just wasted 3 hours of your life. That's how I feel anyways. But let's get to the comments. Born Cool in the comments first on YouTube, which reminds me, if you're watching on YouTube, Locked On Sports Detroit, make sure you subscribe. Pain, that's exactly right. Demetrius McNeil in the comments. Jake, that strikeout by Colt Keith in the bottom of the ninth inning kills their chances of winning this game. I agree. It was a bad strikeout by Colt Keith. It was a big spot, would have been a big moment for the youngster, unable to barrel up a baseball, unable to do anything with runners on first and second. I disagree, though. The game goes to extra innings, and as much as the extra innings ghost runner is an absolute joke of a format to decide a game, the home team is going to have the advantage. So I disagree with that killing their chances, because just go win the baseball game in extra innings. Just figure out a way, have some productive at-bats. You got Canna that just rolls over a ground ball right to the shortstop, and it's curtains after that. There's just no mental fortitude for this team. There's no ability to try to overcome a little bit of adversity. It's just, meander on through extra innings. Oh, well, we lost. This team is just the absence of any amount of a clutch gene. Adam Cullum in the comments, absolutely atrocious. Andrew Chafin sucks. He threw, I put that in my notes that I wanted to get to as, and nobody cares about my high school baseball prowess, but I was a catcher, and you got to know on strike three, you can't let that ball get away. So and I'm jumping all over the place because my brain is a little bit scrambled. I got to be a little bit more positive. I will try. But in a situation in extra innings with a runner on second, again, I hate the extra innings ghosty runner on second. It's so ridiculous. But Rogers has to understand he has to block that ball. You called the pitch. You know what's coming. You know there's a chance that is going to be in the dirt, And instead of stabbing at it with a glove like a middle school catcher, show some physical ability and awareness to get down, drop and block, whatever you have to do to corral the baseball, make a big league play, either tag the swinging miss batter out or stand up, throw it to first, and there's one out and a runner on second instead of runners at first and third with nobody out. So again, Chafin is the one that gives it up, but he gets the strikeout that started. I mean, the extra innings, the way that was started, the Tigers were doomed. And even on that sac fly, I feel like, or I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a different one before the Wenzel Perez, and I know he got behind the baseball and everything, but it just, the throw was up the line, and forgive me. I'm a little bit rattled with how this game ends. Chafin gets hit with the loss. He's 3-2, and it's not technically an earned run, but extra innings, not good. Not good any way you slice it. But the top of the 10th was the way that started with the strikeout of Abrams, but he gets to first. It technically goes down as a wild pitch, but I put it in my notes as a pass ball. Maybe that's me being too tough. But yeah, the sac fly to right, that's going to score Young. And then you do get the double play and only allow the one run. But as we know, this team just offensively they're just so lost at the plate. And I don't know whose fault it is. We blame the hitting coach. We blame the hitters, the approach. I don't know. We got nothing other than a Riley Greene 3-run triple with an overthrow to third where he gets up and alertly, credit to Riley Greene. I was all set to make this the Riley Greene game, and I'm on the thumbnail and everything, but the Tigers make 2 errors in the top of the 8th inning and just gift wrap the Nationals a run. I mean, Riley Greene makes an error, and then I know he's new and he's called up from AAA, but Kreidler, whatever his name, he's played enough games in the big leagues. I was looking at this up before the start of tonight's game. Kreidler had played I believe 90 something games in the bigs, and it's just he's not a big league player. But that's where we are as an organization. Better than Javi, though. Although if we're being honest, Javi probably doesn't make that error as well. All right, other comments from Adam Cullum here. Kento is actually kind of good today. LOL, just kidding. Yeah, he's tough to watch. He had some movement on his pitches, but my goodness, no extra base hits for the Nationals. Bases loaded walk. Are you kidding me? Javi Baez to the injured list and Ryan Kreidler called up. Got to be better. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just a lot of people join in. If you're just joining us on the YouTube, go ahead and get your comments in. A tough loss tonight for the Tigers. This opening segment is just open mic, open callers, texters, whatever we want to call it. Nationals win 5-4. Tigers now 2 games below 500. 15-18 at home. It just, they don't play good baseball at Comerica Park. At least they haven't yet this year. And again, for as bad as Kenta Maeda has been, he gives you 4 innings and only the 1 earned run, and the bullpen was fine. Other than Bo Brisky giving up the 2 earned runs there in the 5th. But my goodness, just bad defense. Yeah, I'm at a loss with this one because you just watch this. This was the type of game that you just watch mad. There's decisions that could have been made. Adam Cullen saying AJ should have left Foley in. Yeah, I don't get why. I know Chafin has really been struggling as of late. I guess Foley can only go the 1 inning in the 9th, and Chafin has to pitch the 10th. But again, I don't want to put this all on Jake Rogers, but if you get the first strikeout of, I believe it was Abrams. Yeah, Abrams, and it doesn't go to the backstop, and then you're looking at 1 out with the runner on second. It's a fly ball to right, 2 outs, runner on second, get the ground ball, and you're out of the inning. But if we're fifths, we'd all be drunk, and then that's just not the case. So Born Cool says, I don't know where this team goes from here. I just know we're going to be sellers. Yeah, I was on a show earlier today and talking about the deadline coming up. We've all said the deadline will tell you one way or the other where this organization is. And nights like tonight, sure, sell them, trade Tarek Skubal. I don't actually believe that. Please don't take that. I want to see Tarek Skubal in sporting the Old English D for his entire career. But yeah, nights like tonight, it does feel like a loss. But we will break down the horrible defense and go through some of my actual game notes while I have my thoughts collected here as we continue to work through a difficult Locked On Tigers postcast after a bad loss. And I maybe this is where I'm wrong, but you listen to the telecast, and I know they're bought and paid for with Bally Sports and they have to do this, but I think Tiger fans deserve to be told how it is. And this was just a very poorly played game, and we don't have to sugarcoat it. This is a game you have to win. And you look back, and there's certain games in the calendar you can circle with a red Sharpie and say, that was bad baseball, and we let that one get away. And that's exactly what tonight was. So appreciate everybody tuning in to Locked On Tigers postcast. We are just getting started on this live edition of a Locked On Tigers postcast. Don't go anywhere. We break down that horrible defense and the two costly errors, as well as the bullpen, coming up next on Locked On Tigers postcast. Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Ibotta. That's right. Spring has sprung and we are into the summer months, and that means it's time to stock up on all the supplies that you need. And no matter what you're spending on, Ibotta is here to help. You got to make sure you're using Ibotta and get real cash back with every single purchase. I know I can be a big spender at times. In fact, I was just doing a little remodeling. Who am I kidding? Anybody that knows me know I'm not a big handy guy, but we all have things to buy, toothpaste, anything. And spring and summer, of course, is when you stock up on those items. And don't splurge on anything new without getting cash back in return. I bought some golf balls the other day, and that's right, I was using Ibotta for my cash back. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. And you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. And look, $256 per year, that's $256 more than what you would have had if you weren't using Ibotta. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, or maybe that flight you've been eyeing. You want to do some traveling? Well, how about $256 to put towards that? Maybe even just a fancy dinner. Take your girl out, your guy out, whoever it is, whatever you've been craving. Ibotta can help you earn some cash for that. Other apps give you points, which don't really amount to much. And with Ibotta, you just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta. No risk. You get $5 just for trying using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Today's show also made possible by FanDuel and Prize Picks. That's right. Today's show made possible by Prize Picks. Oh, that's right. The most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app. More than 5 million members. It's the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. The NBA Finals are here, the NHL, the Stanley Cup. We got all kinds of things going on in the month of June, and PrizePicks adds just a little bit more sizzle to your viewing experience. And oh yeah, you can make some cash as well. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds, so it doesn't take much time. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and you're locked in. That's right. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays, which increases your chance of getting a win, to getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Any way you slice it, PrizePicks is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. You pick more, you pick less. It's that easy. We got to talk about the fielding errors from the Tigers tonight. I put this in my notes that you felt it happening in that 8th inning. You had the Riley Greene error that took a single and then add an extra base for the double, and then the ground ball to the shortstop. You can't make that error. And I know physical mistakes are one thing, but when it's routine plays, Kreidler and Riley Greene both, that are costing the one run that's so precious, that one run in the 8th. That's the difference in this game. And the Tigers were 5 outs away, and who's to say what happens in the 9th, of course, but you got to give your bullpen a chance. And Tyler Holton just deserved much better than being tagged for that one run in his time pitching, because it wasn't his fault. His defense completely let him down in that 8th inning. And you look at that 8th inning, and it's what we talk about often, but worth repeating, because the Tigers' inability to have a productive offense just puts so much pressure on every other aspect of the game, and that includes the defense. So you get Thomas Singleton to left, and the extra base becomes so critical from that error by Riley Greene, and then the fielding error by Kreidler, and that's the wrap. I mean, you then get the sac fly to tie the game, and it's a 4-4 game in the 8th inning, and it's disheartening to watch. You could feel it happening. It's a part of what this team feels like has become part of their identity, is just not being able to make plays in big moments. And maybe I'm putting too much into one loss, but I just feel like it was representative of the way not to play the game, and a bad loss at home, a game you had, and in a lot of ways, you had won despite the lack of offense. I mean, the offense showed up for one swing of the bat, and the Nationals even gifted you that opportunity with the error by Parker, which one out run. I mean, the error by Parker with 2 outs extended the innings, and it's just a shame that you couldn't steal that game, despite the Nationals doing everything they could to gift wrap it. And the Tigers had to one-up them and gift wrap it over there. Let's get to some more comments. Adam Collin Foley has a 3 ERA, and we know he's really good most of the time. Chafin has an inflated 5 ERA. Does not make sense. Yeah, going with Chafin in the 10th inning there. Something funny to cheer everyone up. Tuned into the Guardians versus Reds game, and someone just ran on the field and got away from the security officers and got tased by police. Okay, we'll have to check that one out. We'll have to, yeah. Love the comment here from Born Cool. I think I'd rather get tased than watch this Tigers team anymore. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. It was like a tasing to the eyeballs watching this team. But I think some other notes to go over that I jotted down before the game, or before it really took a turn, and interesting debate that we can get into. But when you've got Mark Canha in the top of the 5th, he catches that foul ball from Lane Thomas that allows CJ Abrams to score, and he's catching it running away from the infield, back to the infield, all his momentum taking away from home plate. So he's not going to be able to get a strong throw on the runner tagging from third. The infield was in. I feel like it's an old, not even controversial, but a baseball take that a lot of people will say, no, you get the out no matter what. And they're not wrong in saying that. But knowing how bad your offense is, maybe you let that ball land foul and try to get the out without surrendering the run. But that said, I mean, there's no right answer, but it was an interesting discussion point I wanted to write down with the way the top of the fifth played out, where the Nationals in that top half of the fifth inning ended up getting the 2 runs. Now the Tigers came back with 4 in the bottom of the fifth, so in any case, I guess it didn't cost you, but you think about with runs being at such a premium, do you make that catch? I know Jeff Rieger tweeted about it and he was getting some slack from other people because that's just the way Twitter and X works. But I actually don't disagree. I mean, maybe Mark Canha lets that ball drop and you try to get the batter who I believe it was Lane Thomas. You try to get Lane Thomas to get the out without allowing CJ Abrams to score. But anyways, interesting discussion, thought process there. I was also thinking after Kenta Maeda walked the first batter on 4 pitches that tonight was not going to end well. And I was right, but not for the reason I thought. Tonight did not end well, and it wasn't even Kenta Maeda's fault in a lot of ways. I mean, you'd like your starter to go more than 4 innings, but the Tigers had bigger issues tonight than Kenta Maeda in his 4 innings pitch. So that said, we're going to wrap it up with studs and duds. I think everybody knows where we're going to go with this one, but hey, Tigers lose this one, the first of 3 with the Washington Nationals, part of, I believe, I got to double check, a 6-game homestand, but always good to double. No, they go to Houston after this. That's right. They've got a weekend series with the Astros after the Nationals, but tonight would have been a nice one to get the series started off on the right foot, but instead the Tigers lose to the Nationals 5-4. Detroit now 32-34, Nationals 31-35. We'll take a quick break and be back to wrap it up with studs and duds on this live edition of Locked On Tigers POSTCAST. Hey, fired up to tell you about America's #1 sports book. That is FanDuel. That's right. Today's show is made possible by FanDuel. And right now, FanDuel is so excited to be introducing summertime, which we know means baseball, the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, and so much more. There's so much to bet on FanDuel, and that's your one-stop shop for all your betting needs. Right now, new customers get $200 and bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's right, they upped it. Instead of the $150, they've got $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park, spreads, money lines, parlays, you name it. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. That's right. A big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I'd still make the bet on Tarek Skubal to win the Cy Young. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. All right, we wrap it up with studs and duds for tonight, and I was all excited to give Riley Greene a stud for his 3 RBI triple and then on the throwing air scoring, but makes the air in the 8th and struck out in a big spot, and I don't think it was a stud-worthy game. Nobody was worthy of the stud tonight. It was just a bummer of a game in a lot of senses. The Tigers defense as a whole gets the air, and additionally, I just think the entire team deserves the dud after tonight. Top down, bottom up, whatever you want to call it. It just it was a frustrating loss. And when that happens, you look at what went wrong, and obviously the errors, that's a huge part of it. The two costly errors to come in the same inning in the eighth, to just let your pitcher down like that from Riley Greene and Ryan Kreidler. And it just, I hate to harp on it, but that's the story for tonight. And I don't know how else to look at tonight's game without pointing the finger of just the Dudley play by this Tigers defense. And in a team that's built the way the Tigers are, you just can't have nights like that. You just can't have nights where your defense costs you the game. And, the wild pitch from Chafin in the 10th, you'd like Jake Rogers to make that stop. Even, the one sack fly from Wenzel Perez, and, it's hard to tell a guy you got to throw somebody out, but the throw goes halfway up the first baseline. There's just no chance. And then just little plays. Again, Riley Greene playing a single into a double. Just really, really disappointing stuff from the Tigers tonight. So that said, appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. New day tomorrow. They were talking about this on the broadcast, but no, Colt Keith is good. So is Akil Baddoo from that collision. But not really any updates on Kerry Carpenter of where he's at. Same with Jack Flaherty. He was a scratch, essentially supposed to start tonight. Kenta Maeda goes, even though he only threw 2 pitches in that last start against the Rangers. So just a lot of weird stuff going on. Tomorrow night, it'll be Reese Olson, who's 1-7 and it's a 3.43 ERA. And despite being 1-7, we know he's been one of the best pitchers. Jake Irvin will go for the Nationals. 6:40 first pitch. Will be on the air immediately following the conclusion of the game, as always, because this is why you subscribe. We have a lot of fun, even when the Tigers make it painful to try to watch this game that we love and adore. But Tigers lose this one to the Washington Nationals by a final of 5-4 in extra innings. Andrew Chafin gets the loss. He's 3-2 on the season. And the win for the Nationals, Kyle Finnegan. And I thought national starter Parker, I'm blanking on his first name, but I thought he was really good. Again, the Tigers have a way of making pitchers look really good, because that's just what they do. There's no other way around it. Mitchell Parker didn't quite make it through that 5th inning, but before that 3-run triple by Riley Greene, he was mowing the Tigers down. But Nationals get the first one in the series. Tigers will try to come back for game number 2 tomorrow. 6:40 first pitch. We're on the air immediately following. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be on the air. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit, and we will hope for a little bit better tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time on Locked On Tigers Postcast.